Hey everyone, Brennan Snyder here. How are you? Thanks so much for joining me and welcome to Scores from the Record Store. I just got back from Jack's Music Shop in Red Bank, New Jersey. And if you follow my channel and you watch the Let's Go to the Record Store episodes, then you know I was just there 2 weeks ago. And at that time, I scored 33 CDs. But you know how you go to the store, you see stuff, you hem and you haw, you put it back, and then you go home and you kick yourself for not getting it. I had some of that happen to me because there were things that I was going to just try out. And one of those was a band called Axis, a German band, power metal band. And I ended up really liking that stuff. And I knew there was some more stuff there. So I actually tried to go back to Jack's last weekend and it snowed and the roads were a mess and it just wasn't happening. So I didn't get to do it. And it's one of those things that's like, I was thinking about it all week then. Then I was thinking about it all week after that, which led up to I had to go today. Today's a Saturday for me when I'm filming this, and it's a holiday weekend here in the United States. Monday is Martin Luther King Day, so it's a 3-day weekend. And what better to do than to hit up some music stores and make some killer scores? 20 CDs, and I bought a shirt too. So I'm going to go through all that here with you guys. We'll get into it in just a bit. If you are new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Don't forget to comment and like and turn on notifications so you can stay up to date on cool episodes just like this with Scores from the Record Store, because I've just gotten back. I haven't opened it. I haven't done anything with it. And I'm super excited and super stoked. And I haven't even curated it into a particular order. So I'm just going to show you the stuff that's in here. But this one was super cool. And I have a mix of new and used stuff that I got from the store. So the new stuff, very competitively priced with every other store, but their used stuff is so dirt cheap at like $2.99. It's awesome. So first thing up, a solo album from Warrell Dane, the frontman from the band Sanctuary, and then he would go on to sing for Nevermore. And I never really got into Nevermore. I'm going to have to try now. I don't know why, it just never really clicked. I actually really like Warrell Dane from Sanctuary, thrash metal band. And I really like Jeff Loomis from Nevermore. And since both those guys are in there, you'd think that I would be into it. I'm got to give it a better, closer listen. But I did see this, and unfortunately, Warrell Dane passed away. And I don't know if I'm going to get the year right. I want to say it's 2017, but I can't remember. But he did pass away a while back. And Sanctuary is actually, Nevermore is actually reforming with Jeff Loomis. And I think it's the drummer that's doing it. The bassist is not part of it. They need a new bass player and a new singer. But this here was the last stuff that Warrell Dane recorded. And I checked out 2 tracks while I was in the store, and it was really good. So I don't know who's playing guitar on this thing, but it sounded amazing. So I'm really excited about that. Here's another one of the new ones, The Unity. Didn't know anything about this group here. I assume they're a couple of German guys because 2 of the guys are from Gamma Ray, but I don't know. At today's day and age, you could be from anywhere, right? So this band here has 2 guys, Michael Ayer and Henjo Richter. Probably pronounced those names wrong, but both those guys from Gamma Ray doing this album here, and it sounds really good. So if you like Gamma Ray, Halloween, bands in those, Iron Savior and Hammerfall and all of that, more power metal for you with the band Unity. And they got a bunch of albums out. This is the debut album. I love hitting up these stores that you'll never find this sort of stuff at Sound Exchange in Wayne, New Jersey. I mean, they'll bring some of it in, but some stores focus on metal, and they got a huge metal section at Red Bank, or in Jack's Music Shop in Red Bank. And there's another one, Music Connection. that has a huge, or predominantly the whole store is metal, right? And then you go to other stores and they have other thing. And Anthony's store actually has a little bit of everything. You can get, the alternative rock, you can get the heavy metal, you can get pop stuff, you can get rap, soul, jazz, right? So very cool. It just depends on what you want. But I hit up different record stores based on what I'm in the mood. And I was in the mood for a lot of power metal type stuff when I first went to Jack's 2 weeks ago, and I've stayed on that kick. So that's part of why you're seeing what's coming out of here. But I did get some other stuff. You're going to see it as I go through. I talked about this band. Let's see, at the time I'm going to post this, it should be Sunday. So I'm going to say yesterday, Saturday, I posted this band, not this album, but I did talk about Hazard. And this album, I think, is 2020, so from going on 5 years back. But I didn't know anything about them. They're getting ready to drop a brand new album, and it might have even just come out. I think that was a Friday release, if I'm not mistaken. And just really good old school thrash, but they are a newer band. And I hadn't checked it out yet, but they were described as sounding like Megadeth, and they definitely do. So if you're a Megadeth fan and you've never checked out Hazard, but you want that old school thrash sound like Rust in Peace, that's what this is. So I listened to this album. I was super stoked about it. I'm going to be going online after this and getting that brand new one that just came out on Friday. And if you've been watching my past videos, then you've seen me pick up for the new music finds and show you guys the King Diamond Merciful Fate and King Diamond stuff. And so I just picked this one up, this King Diamond album, and I can't read it. Give Me Your Soul. So that's the name of this album. Took me a second to be able to read it. It's kind of dark in the way that it's printed here, but Give Me Your Soul. This album here is the latest of the King Diamond releases. And he's working on a brand new album. They've already released one single from it. I have to say that single hasn't hit me just yet. But I've been digging into King Diamond and Merciful Fate and slowly getting into that stuff. I posted a video that was, I never thought I'd listen to this band, and it's so true. For 35 years, I've steered clear of King Diamond and Merciful Fate. It just didn't work for me at all. And then magically, something clicked, and it did. And I have been loving it. Just everything that I've gotten. There hasn't been anything that I didn't like. And the more that I read up on who King Diamond is and what the lyrics are about and that sort of stuff, it pulls it away from what I thought it was, a whole satanistic type thing. And there's a lot more depth to all of this stuff than that. But for horror metal, if you want to call it that, it really does evoke that eerie sound. And I've always really enjoyed that. That's one of the reasons I'm a big fan of the Misfits. So getting some more King Diamond, got that. Found this, Backyard Babies. This one here is called Silver and Gold. And I'm trying to see what year it came out here, 2019. So don't know much about the band except that Dragan from the Helicopters is part of the group. And I know he's played with other groups and done other things because I've seen his name pop up all the time. But I really like the Helicopters. And so the fact that I can get this now and enjoy some more of that sort of sounding stuff, very excited about that. Again, all these things, you guys see me in the videos. I always have my earphones. I love those things, having that with the fact of a smartphone that I can look things up on the internet and sample it while I'm in the store to figure out if I like it. That way, when I go home with 20 things, I don't get home and go, I really probably shouldn't have bought that. It doesn't sound like I thought it was going to sound. I actually go home really excited because I know roughly what all of this stuff is. Picked up another Axl Rudy Pell, The Crest. This one here, still having, he's pretty much had a very consistent lineup now for, 10 or 20 years at this point, it seems like. But Mike Tirana on drums for this one. And I think he's got Bobby Rondinelli at different times, maybe even currently. But Johnny Gioli of Hardline, his vocals are so good. And he's done a bunch of other things. partnered up with the drummer from Journey, and they've done an album together. So just some really good singing with some really good guitar work. German guy. So recent video I did best and worst albums by Alice Cooper, and one of the ones that I said that was the worst, Along Came a Spider. But look, it's in a jewel case, not the digipack. So $4.99, I decided to go ahead and pick it up. And you know, when I film those videos and I talk about a quote worst album, you guys know a lot of that is just tongue-in-cheek stuff. I mean, I love what all these artists do, and that I have them in my, these albums in my collection. And even when I say that it doesn't click with me, that I don't like it or whatever, I might be saying it more in a matter of I prefer it to sound like classic Alice Cooper and not some more modern Alice Cooper. So I say it is a worst album because you have to have a number one, a top, and you have to have a bottom, right? But I still enjoy this stuff. And, because I've gotten a jewel case edition, I'm going to give this thing another listen now. And you know what? I could be changing my tune, but I did re-listen to Brutal Planet before I did that best and worst albums, because I've talked about it being a bad album before. And it's, again, I liked it at the time. It was okay, but it's just one of those ones I don't go back to. And when I was listening to it, I just still couldn't do it. Wasn't my thing. This is cool. I like Mitch Ryder. I like the Detroit Wheels. I like the offshoot bands like the Rockets and stuff. And I found a Mitch Ryder album, and I believe this is 1979. The CD itself just says 2000 on it, but I looked it up and it said 1979. So this is Naked But Not Dead, obviously a reissue that came out in 2000. And it's definitely got some disco flair to it, and I like that. So it's got some cool soulful rock with a little bit of a disco flair to it. I'm excited to check that one out. I've always wanted to get some, and I've never seen solo Mitch Ryder, although he has a lot of stuff. I don't know. It just never seems to turn up used. And so $7.99, and that was a new. That wasn't even considered a used when I got that. Okay, I mentioned Axis at the beginning of this, a band that I've recently been getting into, a power metal band, and I found two more. There's actually a third one there, but I opted not to get it. It was a collection of live and acoustic stuff, but it was only like 7 tracks, and just I had bad packaging, so I couldn't do it. But hey, man, at $2.99 a pop, I love these things. God, get so much great stuff. I've already stocked up. I think I have 6 or 7 Axis albums, and I'm adding 2 more to it now. Just turning out to be one of those bands that I like everything they've done. And I don't know why I never heard of them before, never listened to them, didn't know about them. There's nobody in the group that went or came from anywhere, I guess, that drew my attention. But, if you're a fan of Gamma Ray, Halloween, and other power metal bands like that, but you've never checked out Axis, oh, I am telling you, check out the first 3 studio albums. They are so, so good. Kingdom of the Night, awesome. The second one is just called 2. Anyway, Ed Guy, Tobias Sammet, hopefully I said his name right. The front man, I think he's the guitar player too. He's the leader of the group. He's also the guy that does Avantasia. So this was an EP called Superheroes that has 6 tracks on it, 5, I think they're original songs. So the last one, it kicks off with Superheroes, and then the last one, it has it again, but it says Epic Version. And Michael Kiske sings on one of these from Halloween, so that should tell you something about it. But whether it's Ed Guy or Avantasia, Tobias Sammet, what he does is such cool, over-the-top, awesome sort of... Ed Guy's a little bit more hard rock, power metal, and then you've got the Avantasia stuff that's like symphonic metal, and it's just all cool stuff. Okay, so Goddard has something new coming out, and I checked out their brand new single, and it's really good. I'm enjoying it, and I've been a fan of theirs for a little while, but I really have pulled away from it in recent years. They're one of the bands that I discovered probably 10 years back, and then went through a phase and bought everything I could get my hands on, but couldn't find everything. They probably put out albums since then, but I found 2 more, And again, $2.99, $2.99. So 2 more Goddard albums. Goddard, and I looked this up beforehand, but now I'm forgetting. I can't remember. I want to say they're a Swiss band, but if I get that wrong, I apologize. I'm having a real hard time keeping track of where all these cool bands are from because for so long, I only listened to stuff that came out of the US or the UK, from, Britain or England, maybe something out of Germany. And I just didn't know a lot about bands that were from Sweden, Switzerland, some of those other Scandinavian countries. And then I've been branching out in recent years, finding there's so much great stuff happening over there that is basically picking up where a lot of the cool bands that I love left off at the end of the 80s, 90s, somewhere in that range. And then these guys picked it up in the early 2000s and have been running with it. So I've been enjoying exploring that sort of stuff. And I'm sure the more I get into it and do it, that stuff will really stick in my head. But Heat, Swedish band. I showed you guys one of these last go around, and it was Freedom Rock, the original release, and I found the debut original release because they've since remixed them. And I have those and they're fantastic, but I always love having the different versions. So I got that. And this is before Eric Grunwald joined. The original guy sang on the first 2 albums, then Eric joined, and now the original guy is back. This one is a band I know nothing about, but I looked it up, I gave it a listen, and it sounded fantastic. The band is called Scream Maker, and it was the album cover that caught my eye. But even more so when I flipped it over and I saw Frontiers Records put this out, and I think this is 2022, and I just said, anything Frontiers does is great, but why do they have something that looks like it's a real heavy band? I mean, that could be death metal for all you know. And it turned out to be really good metal. I don't know if I want to call it power metal, but it's definitely in that vein of things more than it is, say, traditional metal or anything. But it's got some great melody to it. But I'm super excited. So I do also like, even though when I go on these record shopping runs and I make these scores, if I can also get a new band and there's some new stuff that I don't know anything about and start exploring that, that's going to be really cool. There's some more stuff in here that's like that. But this was a cool find. So I'm trying to think back now if this was December or Thanksgiving, which the run it was. I want to say it was probably the Thanksgiving run that I did. Because whenever there's a holiday, I got to hit up music stores. And I usually use those to make the ones that are the long trip. The Red Bank is an hour away from me. Princeton's an hour. But I found a best of, and it was best of the ballads. So it did have some rock stuff on it, but it wasn't quite what I wanted. And then I looked up for this artist, Thunderhead. This one here is called Killing with Style. And there was just nothing in print. I couldn't find it. And everything was really expensive. And then lo and behold, I found this, $2.99. And I don't know if this is the debut. This is 1994. I think they may have had a couple albums before this. But, I'm very excited. And I don't know how I missed this. Although, that can't be right. I was going to say, it says used 0125. Oh, just January 25, probably. So it probably came in after my visit. Ooh. That's cool, because I was like, how did I possibly miss this before? So maybe they only do it by, I like the ones where they put the day and year on it. Anthony does that, so you know exactly when it was that it came in the store. So some of these, I'm just seeing another one that says January 25 on it. And this was a cool find. Sergeant Fury. And I don't know if they ever made more than one album. This is a reissue on the Dive Bomb label. More in the metal vein than the glam metal sound, but it definitely rides right down the line of those two things. And just look at the guys on the back of this thing, right? You take a look at that, and if you're a glam metal fan, or somebody from the 80s, you look at that and you go, yeah, I want to check that out, right? So I looked that up and I gave it a listen, and I read the name and I was just like, Sergeant Fury, who is that? I got to check that out. Little Fish is the title. So that one was exciting. Tony Mitchell. Can't remember. You have to look this up. Maybe I'll put it in right down here. What band did he come from? But he did come from somewhere, and he recently put out a new solo album. And because of his connection, I picked it up, and I ended up really liking it. But it's like AOR melodic rock style stuff. And I found another album of his that I knew nothing about. Came out quite some time back. Just checking to see if I can find a date on it, because I want to say this is like 10 years before the current one. But this is called Church of the Restless Soul. And then this, Chris Laney, and called Only Come Out at Night. And he has played with, who was the bands that he played? Like I knew him from a band called Zan Clan. Anybody remember that band? I think they're Swedish, but I again could be wrong. Zan Clan featured the original vocalist for the band Shotgun Messiah. So after that, he formed Zan Clan and did a couple albums, and they were awesome. And Chris Laney, guitar player from that, but he went on to play with a number of different groups, and he's just part of that whole Scandinavian boom of the sort of glam metal sound that has come out of there. And I have had this digitally, but could never get a hold of a CD copy. They were just astronomically priced, and then boom, $2.99. So that was awesome. And one additional one that I picked up, but it's out in my car, is I bought Enough's Enough, Animals with Human Intelligence, their third studio album that came out on Arista. But that one I already had a copy of. That's just for my car. And I was rocking to that all the way home. And I still have the shirt to show you. I always love, this is what they look like. So Jacks, I guess they use the cards to, I don't know if the guy is named Jack or not, but you got the 4 Jacks there in the cards. And so I found this shirt, and you guys know I'm a big fan of Def Leppard, so you'll understand why I picked this one up. I just thought that looked very cool, and doesn't, it's not overly done. I like shirts like this that are very minimal. But what I really liked about it was the shirt itself, and they call it Blue Heather. You can see that it's kind of speckly, not speckly, but it's not solid, right? There's gray, there's blue, and it makes up a different tone, and it's just super, super soft. So this is one of those American classics, and I wouldn't even be surprised if this one comes from Societies, the company that I sometimes work with, because I've seen this sort of stuff and pattern, and they use the American classics t-shirts to print on. But brand new shirt, 20 CDs, killer way to kick off my holiday weekend here. So hopefully you've enjoyed this episode. I hope maybe I turned you on to something new and or reminded you about something that you've got in your collection. You can go dig that out and enjoy it too. But man, I love these record store runs and the scores that I get from it, and being able to share it with you guys out there. So, all right, everyone, until next time, enjoy your record store shopping. I hope you also make some killer scores, and let me know which is your most recent killer score that you got. All right, everyone, take care, have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.